Hey friends, Tux here. You know, Space Duel is a game which definitely holds a place in video game history. It happened in the 80s. It was a successor to Asteroids and Asteroids Deluxe, and it actually was kind of based upon Tempest to a certain degree. It was basically it took the graphics of Tempest, the colorful, poppy, vector graphics, and it actually made it as part of the, Asteroids universe. So it was really a cool game with some really unique features, but because of the video game crash of the 80s, it never quite made it to a home console until now. Okay, this is one of those games they were actually plugging towards the end of like the 2600 era, and it really 2600 could not have made a good Space Duel, that's for sure. But now you can actually get it, which is really cool, And what's notable about this too is, this was one of the first multiplayer vector graphic games where you could have, two players playing simultaneously, or you could like pony up the extra ship and, play two ships at once, So it was really fun to decide how you were going to play, as well as you could actually have two people playing a vector game at the same exact time, which is pretty kind of historical, really. And as far as the thing itself, the game itself, it was really, cool because besides Asteroids Deluxe came out, and it was really hard. It really didn't capture the spirit of Asteroids to a certain degree. I think it was more of a quarter muncher, so arcade owners could get more quarters, that kind of thing. It didn't have the fun factor of the original Asteroids, but this game, Space Duel, succeeds where Asteroids Deluxe failed, so that was cool. I mean, there's some other things about it too. Basically, it was the first home console adaptation. This came from the 7800, although it was talked about back in the 2600 days. The port support, this particular port, this cartridge supports both single player and two player modes, which is really cool, And as far as a little kind of pop culture history, I'm not the biggest Who fan, but this Space Duel arcade machine was featured on the cover of the Who's It's Hard album. So maybe someone in the Who was a fan of this game, or at least you could tell it was popular at the time for them to feature on top of the cover of the Who album. So anyway, guys, without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at the game. This is available on Amazon, and I will have a link for the best price of this. At the time of me getting this, it was like $20, cheap. It was really, really cheap, And it comes in a beautiful, normal, kind of looking 7800 silver package. It does say compatible with 2600, 7800 plus, and 7800, which is interesting because I don't know how this would play on 2600, to be honest with you, but got beautiful graphics there, got the original kind of font style there. The ship looks a little different, but I guess it kind of plays along with the idea of Space Duel. On the back here, it kind of shows the systems it plays for, and I guess indeed it will play with the 2600 plus, interesting, 7800 plus, and you can use a variety of controllers, including the Pro line and a few of these other classic joysticks and things to actually play it, which is pretty cool. Very small picture here on the back. I don't know if you can see that. How to avoid death by crystal spores. Yes, this game was pretty deadly. This game, it was definitely a quarter muncher, but unlike Asteroids Deluxe, it was more fun, I think. Really. Let's go ahead and open this up. Got my scissors here. We'll go ahead and see what's in the box. I'm not really expecting great things in this box. In fact, if you go back, I do have a video on my original 7800 plus unboxing, and the game that came with it, this Crystal Quest, is not the best game. Okay, I'll be honest, it really is not the best game. Although I'm really happy that I do have a 7800 plus, and I will have a link for this as well down below. Okay, all right, let's go ahead and keep opening here. I'm trying to cut this delicately. I'm gonna try and keep the box nice. Kind of little piece of video game history that's finally coming out after all these years. Oh, and check it out, a secret message, an Easter egg, if you will. Have you played Atari today? That was their slogan, like in the 80s, And here we go. We do have a box and a box. That's interesting. These used to come in like little black plastic sleeves, okay? And I guess with the relaunch of 7800 plus now, they're kind of going for these cardboard sleeves. But I mean, on the plus side, it does have some nice artwork on it, and it does kind of keep it all nice. It does have Space Duel in the normal 7800 gray, and it does have a texturized cartridge too. But unlike the original 2600 games, it doesn't have that like spring-loaded bottom, so it's just exposed. You might have to blow on it like a Nintendo cartridge or whatever. But looking beautiful. Definitely a cool looking cartridge. And I think that might be about it. Let's see here. Does it come with a comic book or anything? Or some of the old Ataris came with comic books? Nice color instruction manual. Looks like the traditional size. Oh, it is color on the inside too. That's a nice touch. Can you avoid death? That's a big question. Can you avoid death by crystal spores? I really do not know. I think breathing them could probably not be a good thing. Talks about getting started, playing in 2600 plus or 7800. Talks about resetting, how to control it. Talks about using one joystick if you want, with one button. That would be interesting for this game. This arcade game used the original, like, Asteroids, like button left, button right, that kind of thing. And so translating it to a home system can be tricky. Talks about playing the game, shows some, like, little things with lives, you know, score. I think everyone knows what's with that. And then the back here just some of the many enemies, you know, so lots of good things. Spinners, that looks like a space dungeon to a certain degree. Lots of different, you know, hexagons, little shapes and things that will hopefully not kill you too quickly before you have a little fun, you know. Talks about strategy, and here's some tips for playing the game. And so all in all, I say this is a pretty good little thing. And oh, it does have an ad here for Yars Rising, which to me is still like a hidden gem. I did make a video about this. I love this game. This game is really fun. You think that since it isn't really... I have a Jurassic Park dinosaur like growling in the background. Sorry about that, guys. I'm not sure what toy is doing that. Anyway, fun game, really fun game. I'd recommend this. Check out my video on Yars Rising, no matter if you're playing on Steam or how you're playing it. Great game, super good. But anyway, talks about everything out there, got an address form and everything, and that is a deal on that. I'm gonna plug this in and see if it works. Okay. All right, here's a quick look at the game. A lot going on there. A lot of things spinning around. A lot of differently, independently moving and looking things. So not bad for a classic game. I have to say, looks pretty action-packed. Definitely not the original Space Duel, but not too shabby, actually. Looks good. Okay, and there you have it, guys. Space Duel for the Atari 7800 Plus. You know, for 20 bucks, I think there's some fun to be had here, you know? You can't expect the actual arcade. Although, you know, it's interesting on these cartridges, if they really wanted to, they probably could put, like, the arcade ROM in there, too, you know? Just a thought, Atari. Just throwing it out there, you know? But a lot of fun. It's fantastic. I am super happy to see this game finally getting a home cartridge release. That is really cool, you know. It's my childhood fantasy come true with 7800 Space Duel, you know. So anyway, guys, I hope they continue to release more stuff. If you can pick up a 7800 Plus, I recommend the system. It's a good time. You know, it's definitely worth checking out. Not terribly expensive. Great way to relive some 7800s, and definitely better than buying a old 7800 on eBay or something and playing scalper prices and having it go bad or something, you know. So anyway, guys, good time. I would give this a thumbs up. I'd say check it out. And I want to thank you for watching this video, okay? We'll talk to you soon, friends. Bye-bye. Click the links.